Alright, so this is take 2 of this recording. My first take was rudely interrupted, but this time I have cancelled out all distractions, so I can now finish this recording. Alright, so this is basically just a video on my opinions of Dawn of War 3, basically, so based off of the gameplay trailers we've seen in E3. Now, my opinion is kind of negative for the most part, and that is generally because of the fact that the gameplay footage just doesn't feel like it's Warhammer 40k. It feels like some random Space Marine, or no, not Space Marine, but just some random fantasy battles. Now, I mean, it's not the art style. No, it's not that. I'm not really a sucker for graphics or so. For the most part, I am really just all about gameplay. So I'm probably gonna end up buying this game, and if it's fun, I'll probably like it. But from what I can look at it, it just seems silly how Captain Angelos can just jump in the air and do flips and whatnot in the air and whatnot. It just seems silly for the most part. And it just seems just off. So I can see what they're going for, having more larger battles, so that's what they were talking about doing in Dawn of War 3, so the big focus is having large battles, and the animations are supposed to be representative of that, as they're supposed to allow you to see what's going on in these giant battles. But I really feel like what they should have done is they should have taken the tactical gameplay from Dawn of War 2 and just increase the scale. So, like, I kind of wanted like a war game, Red Dragon style of Warhammer 40k, where you would have these huge maps or so, a lot of strategic elements, but also all based around a tactical premise that can be micromanaged or so and whatnot. I feel like that would have been much more entertaining or so, as well as just more suited with the lore, as this just kind of destroys the lore and kind of just throws it on its head. Like, okay, so my biggest grievance is just how the Eldar are portrayed here. In the gameplay, they are just being slaughtered by the hundreds, basically. And I do mean hundreds. These large battles, every single battle engagement they get into, there's at least like maybe 100 Eldar, like 50 Eldar. In each one of these engagements, the Eldar are just going to be wiped out. And my whole complaint about that is that it goes against Eldar doctrine altogether. The Eldar do not fight you in open field battles. The Eldar are scumbags who hide behind cover and shoot you from a distance using long-range weaponry, or they use guerrilla tactics to go in, use stealth to close in on you before you even know what's going on, and then leave. They don't fight you in conventional battles. So me seeing this race, or so, the Eldar, who are, by definition in the lore, being on the verge of extinction, basically, with only a handful of craft worlds remaining, basically, and each Eldar life being more precious than the last, or so, fighting a huge conventional battle and just being mowed down just in the hundreds, or so. It's just weird, or so. It just doesn't make sense to the lore that the game is based around. And that goes back to my opinions of Dawn of War 2. I felt Dawn of War 2 was a good game, even in some respects better than Dawn of War 1, in the sense that it felt closer to the lore that it was based around, basically the Warhammer 40k lore, where you could basically make a small strike team of elite units and use them to destroy huge amounts of forces, basically. and I feel like it played more to the strengths of the individual factions. Like, so we have 3 factions in Unworthy confirmed. We have the Elder, we have the Space Marines, and we have the Orcs. Now, how I believe each faction should play as also is that I believe that first off, I believe that just having those 3 factions or so is too limited, and that they should definitely have at least the Imperial Guard or so, just the Imperial Guard to help them out, as it just seems odd that the Imperial Guard would not be, a more mainstay army or so in the Dawn of War, because in the lore, they are, it clearly says that the Space Marines are the scalpel, while the Imperial Guard is the hammer, basically. So the Imperial Guard will be the main force holding the line, while the Space Marines will be the main driving force, basically, just changing the field of battle so and completing key objectives in order to win the overall engagement. And I feel like the loss of the Imperial Guard or so means that now the Space Marines have to take that role, which doesn't make sense in the lore, as they are, for the most part, a support unit. And this also goes back into another grievance I have with the Dawn of War games, is that they don't represent how the Space Marine companies work, or how Space Marine chapters work as a whole. Like, Space Marines have, at max, according to Codex Astartes, that I believe the Black Templar or so just, like, scoff at or so. But, like, the Codex Astartes says that there can be only 1,000 Space Marines in a chapter, divided into 10 different companies, each with 100 Space Marines, respectively, and the first company being consisting of the most elite and veteran units. Now, with that said, basically, you should never see hundreds of Space Marines on the field just getting killed. Why? Because Space Marines are very tanky. They are very hard to kill, which is why I kind of like Dawn of War 2 Retribution's campaign with the hero units, because they kind of represented how Space Marines should be in ARTS. They should be these special hero units, basically, that you want to protect and hold on to as they get better over time, basically. And I scoff at the idea that they're being used as just a little bulky conventional army, when they are just simply, that's simply not the case. Space Marines are the elite of the elite, the special forces of the Imperium, basically. And the idea that they can get into a simple battle with Orcs and Eldars so and lose a good amount of battle brothers or so in a simple fight would just render them completely inefficient. Like, I literally had Dawn of War 1 engagements where I would lose like hundreds of Space Marines or so, and Space Marines and Terminator armor, which didn't make sense because of the fact that each piece of Terminator armor is like it's a relic to these chapters or so. The Space Marines are more than just like men or so. Like, each one of them has like decades or so, if not centuries of service, basically. So the armor they have or so is ancient and is treasured, especially the Terminator armor, which is some chapters only have a handful of, basically. And it is a prized relic, something that they really can't afford to lose. So the idea in Dawn of War 1 that you could lose hundreds of Terminators and Space Marines or so in a single fight was just laughable, as literally you were just wiping out an entire chapter worth of Space Marines or so in a single battle. Dawn of War 2 brought the scale down a little bit better, but I feel that it failed to beef up the Space Marines to lower levels. And then Dawn of War 3, I feel like it's going back to Dawn of War 1's level, where you will see dozens, if not hundreds, of Space Marines get killed in battle. And then, basically, so the chapter won't left an eye, basically. None of the Battle Brothers are important, they are just another cog in the machine. So, I mean, this would make sense as the Imperial Guard, as your little tactic is just to keep your blob of conscripts fighting as long as you physically can. But in terms of the Space Marines, I feel that it is just not... It just doesn't connect with the lore, in my opinion. So in my overall opinion, I feel that the game doesn't represent, at least the Eldon Space Marine races, from what I can see, as they should be represented in the lore. And I'm just crossing my fingers and hoping that, seeing how this is like pre-alpha, so that they might make some heavy changes to the game. I mean, I'm still gonna probably end up buying it, just because I'm a Warhammer 40k, fan or so and whatnot, or so, ever since I played Dawn of War 1 back in, I think it was the 6th grade or so, back in 2000, and I think it was 2006, actually. I got late on the Dawn of War train, for the most part. But, I am probably going to end up still buying the game, and frankly, even if it's not good with the lore, if it's still a good game, I will still play it. I will still probably make a huge amount of videos about it on my YouTube channel. But from what I can tell, it's just not... It's conflicting with the lore every inch of the way, and I don't really know how I feel about that, for the most part. But yeah, that's just my honest opinion, or my humble opinion, basically. It isn't supposed to be taken with any huge grain of salt or so. I probably made some loyals or so, but that's just my initial opinion or so, and it's always subject to change. I'm never concrete with my opinions, and they always have... Sega always has the chance to change my mind on how I feel about this game, basically. But yeah, that's just my honest opinion, and I hope you enjoyed listening to me rant for a good 12 minutes. And, yep, I guess I'll end this rant here. I will talk to you guys next time.